Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today I want to do a video talking about what's going on in Galaxy of Heroes. What is happening almost behind the scenes, right? And this is going to be a little bit of speculation and a little bit of just dissecting the information we're getting from the developers and giving it to you guys in a light with context, right? With some context of what they're working on, what we know they're working on, and what they want this game to do. So let's get into our video, guys. It's going to be a little bit of speculation, a little bit of fun, but before we do that, you know the drill. I signed a contract recently with absolutely no one that stipulates in every video that I must hype up Wampa and let you know that he is king. Guys, Wampa wants to be Relegate, and for him to get to Relegate, all he needs you to do, get his channel to 5,000 subscribers. We hit 5K, and I will Wampa all the way to Relegate on a live stream for everybody to join in and watch the fun. So make sure you guys smash that subscribe button, leave likes, leave comments, and beat that YouTube algorithm. So let's talk about the game. What's happening? We've recently gotten Rise of the Empire, which has been a good addition to the game. It's been a very good addition. I'm not going to say that it's not. It's definitely changed the landscape of the way territory battles works, where it's much more focused on completing platoons with, hard set relic requirements, rather than what I would say Geonosis and the Hoth, territory battles were, which were heavily focused on combat missions. The more combat missions you could get done, the higher your score was. And the example I would use with Geonosis is I'm about like, I don't know, 20 in the 30 range. I think about 25 to 30 in GP for my guild, and I can place in the top 10 in Geonosis because of how many combat missions I can complete. And in the new Rise of the Empire territory battle, that's not the case so much because you don't get nearly as many points for completing combat missions. And I think that was intentional by the, development team to say, we don't want guilds. One of the things that they noticed was that in the Separatist Might, smaller guilds could get higher stars if they focused on combat missions. And that for this new territory battle, they said, you know what? We want you to focus on building your roster. Now, yes, of course, some of that is you've got to have a Relic 5 Ugnaught, right? But some of the characters in those, you really can't complain about getting to relics, right? Ben Solo is in there. You've got Grand Inquisitor, Boba Fett, Signa, Jango, even Galactic Legends. I get it, right? But the combat missions aren't as important, so you're able to give up some of these characters and not worry. But there's also been a lot of, and the Rise of the Empire, by the way, guys, was positive, right? That was a great change for this game. But then I want to switch over to the forums here. And what I want to do is show you guys, here's the forums, right? There we go. So inside the forums here, they just recently fixed the third sister special mission, where they said it was bugged. And basically, Jawa Scavenger was missing a tag that wasn't applying as many thermal detonators. And that was a problem, right? Because it made the mission much easier to beat. Here's the thing, guys. They've then said, yeah, when the fix goes out, if you're using the proper mods and strategy, you'll be able to complete it, no problem. I don't think that's the case. I have a feeling that this was intended to be Kaidi Mundi, just a lot more difficult. So what my reaction is to this, I'm not a fan of, I think that fix is good, but there were guilds who were able to get almost 200 Riva shards because the mission was easier. So you think about those players who are already tip of the spear, right? The guys who are already so far ahead in the game got a massive head start over people who weren't able to complete this mission. And that's a problem to me. I'm not saying that you need to come and give me 200 Riva shards or that you even need to give me 50 or 10, right? I'm not asking for that. There needs to be some form of compensation to the community because 99.9% of the player base is negatively impacted by this, right? That was negatively impacted by the change. If you left it the same, right? If you said, you know what, we're going to leave it the same, we're going to leave it as is. Sure, those guys get Riva faster, but so will the rest of us, right? Some of the rest of us will get there faster. Now, they've got this huge head start and puts them, how many more territory battles ahead of the rest of the team. So again, guys, I'm not trying to say that they need to give me shards, but there needs to be compensation because this was a huge problem, right? But then you've also got these things we had the TIE Defender has a known issue they're looking into. You had that, the Treya Omicron refund. Where was it at down here? I remember it was here. The undefeatable clone commander inside of Rise of the Empire. There's all these bugs. There's a feat in Conquest right now that's bugged. I want to go back into the game here just so we can talk about this. So what is happening, right? This game is transitioning, and it's transitioning to, and I made a video specifically talking about it like in terms of conquest, right? But this game is transitioning from you needing like a single squad, right? That was getting you crystals. Because remember, all the way back, and you guys will see where this is heading, right? All the way back when crystals were in squad arena, if you had one squad that was capable of getting first place every day, you got 500 crystals, right? 500 crystals a day if you could get first place with a single squad. They didn't change. They said they moved crystals to Grand Arena because it would give everybody more, and that was fair, right? Because it did. But the real reason they switched it to Grand Arena was that they knew that somebody with maybe 3 million galactic power who could farm up Kenobi and Commander Tano or could farm up a galactic legend could climb into first place every single day, right? And you could, like I was doing it against guys like, let me just show you guys my arena shard here. You guys saw like that one guy here, he's got Jabba, right? But I'll go down to just this guy here, Supersonic, right? He's a good, very good player, right? Great account. 10 million GP, right? He's got the 7 GLs. I could climb against this guy with a single galactic legend and get first place. So minimal investment. I'm, competing with somebody with a much better roster than me inside a squad arena. So they took away those crystals, right? And they said, oh, there was arena shards, yada, 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 right? All this garbage. But why is there still currency inside of Fleet Arena, right? Why do they still give crystals here? If you don't like these fleet shards, you don't like these shard chats, which exist in fleets here too, why just change Squad Arena? One, ships are a much larger investment for them. They make a lot, because of the smaller market for ships. They, Executor, Profundity make them money, right? But there's also this overlooming fact that I don't know if everybody knows this. Capital Games secured the IP for Lord of the Rings. And inside of they're developing that game. And when they released it, the beta, and people were playing it, the backlash was horrible, right? I mean, the artwork was even worse than what we have here in Galaxy of Heroes. It looked lazy. People put them on blast. Well, in Galaxy of Heroes, think of all the things that have changed. They moved crystals out of Squad Arena, but they left them in fleets. Why would they do that? Why would you not just move them completely out of there and move them to other places? Why, the Omicrons, right? How they're specific to a certain game mode, which if you guys didn't know, like Marvel Strike Force has characters who have specific abilities, just in different game modes, right? That in what they would consider territory wars, some characters are better, some in raids, some in this mode, that mode, right? So there's that in Marvel Strike Force that I think is not necessarily like an Omicron, right? It's just an ability upgrade. So keep that in mind. The Galaxy of Heroes, of course, had to monetize it. But here's my point. This is where I'm heading. I think Galaxy of Heroes has been a testing ground for them to see what they can do to the community to push us and what makes them revenue and what's not. Like Datacrons. They know we don't like Datacrons. Now they're going to continue pushing them because I think at this point they're not going to take them back. They make them a ton of money. If you guys don't believe they don't make money off of Datacrons, then you're kidding yourself. They make a ton of money off of these things. So what I think they're doing is they're testing us to see what makes us money, what do players enjoy, and trying to make that into Lord of the Rings. Because I think after the beta, they recognize that we're not just going to play a game because of the IP anymore, right? That people are leaving Galaxy of Heroes because they're not enjoying it. So I think that there's a lot of stuff they need to fix, and I think that they're not testing it because they're focusing on Lord of the Rings. So what can you do with your roster now, right? Like that was kind of the negative part of the video. What's the positive? They've done new game modes. They're going in and they're sticking to their word on making sure that Executor and Profundity are staying, the best, right? That the best fleets are staying the best. They're doing that. They're trying to make sure, right, that your galactic legends are staying the top of the tier, right? They're trying to make sure that those characters are the best. So what can you do with your roster to prepare for not only Rise of the Empire, but just for the changing nature of this game? I think a few of the things are ensuring that you're not just focusing on a small subset of your roster, right? That you don't want to be too narrow, that you need to have width to your roster. That's not only because of Grand Arena and territory wars, but because territory battles, you need a lot of different stuff for territory battles, right? Like you think initially you need Rebels and Empire. Then they want you to have Separatists and Galactic Republic. And then Rise of the Empire, Scoundrels, Empire, Jedi, Rebels. There's all these different things that you need for this, that they want you to have this wide roster. So that's why my farming guide and other recommendations build you different factions along the way that get you as much done in as little bit of time as possible. That if you focus too much on the dark side, you're not used to people who do, these kinds of territory battles, right? But with Rise of the Empire, I'm going to say this: combat missions don't mean nearly as much as just overall GP does. So I think one of the really good things about Rise of the Empire has been that it's moving away from this. If you solely focus on dark side, right? Like, you're basically useless for half of the territory battles your guild does. If your guild's doing Rise of the Empire, it really doesn't matter as much because your GP is your GP, right? You can deploy it. So that's a positive change, and I think that's really good. So preparing your roster, guys, what do you want to do? Remember that they've said they're not going to change platoons. So ships like TIE Defender, characters like, I think Zori was released post, Trench, Zori were released post Rise of the Empire. So every character that gets released from this point on is going to be like a bonus in that new territory battle. They're not going to be needed for operations, and they're going to be good. So those are the characters you want to focus on when you're thinking about, how can I build something that's going to really help me in Rise of the Empire? Sure, your characters for platoons, but the characters like Zori and Trench, right? The TIE Defender ship, those are the stuff that ends up being the most valuable because you can use it and then donate stuff to platoons instead. So that's the video, guys. That's kind of my reaction. I want this to be, hopefully you guys get what I'm saying, that they're using this as a testing ground for Lord of the Rings. It's obvious, right? They're not testing this game because they're probably building things in Lord of the Rings, and that's where their time's going. But they're still giving a lot of attention to this game. They're still trying to keep that status quo of Galactic Legends being the best, Profundity and Executor being the best. And they are putting content in. So don't panic. I think they're getting to this point where they're recognizing that Galaxy of Heroes needs more love if they want to continue making money off of it. Because GAC joining, there's not a graphic that I saw, but I've heard this around, that the past 2 GACs have seen more people playing. So I don't know if people are coming back or we're just getting new players, which is really good for this community. We really need it. Guys, that's the video. Let me know your thoughts are down below. As always, smash that subscribe button, leave likes, leave comments, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Cheers.